Welcome to Better, the podcast about doing better, being better, and leaving the world a better place than we found it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Better. I'm your host, Jay. It's been a minute, hasn't it? I think the last episode we posted was March 15th, which I think that makes the last recording date Christmas time, 2023. And a lot of people have been asking, where have I been? What has been going on? Why have there not been no episodes? I think we got to episode 20. And the funny thing about that is they say the average podcast needs to get to episode 21 before it can start actually like producing big results and start getting a big fan base and start to get, start to resonate with people. And we stopped at, I think, 20. And it wasn't by choice. It was by force. So as you guys know, I do episodes where it's by myself. It's me talking to you guys one-on-one. I do interviews as well. But this is a kind of like an interview with myself, so to speak, because the reason why there weren't any interviews done is because, to put it as frankly as my doctor did, I almost died. What ended up happening was on New Year's Eve, myself and Shauna, we went out, we had a great night, woke up New Year's Day with a crick in my neck and a little pain in my shoulder. By the end of the day, it was starting to get really bad. My neck was stiff. I decided to go home, take a couple days, bed rest, just to kind of relax a little bit. And it kept getting worse. It kept getting to the point where now my breathing was affected. I'm looking at emergency room updates, and it's like 24-hour waits, 26-hour waits. I'm like, well, that's crazy. I could barely even sit up. I could, so I didn't think I could do an emergency room. So I'm just trying to take some medication, trying to get through it. I figure it's just stiffness, right? Shoulder, neck, back. I'm like, something's going on here, but I couldn't quite figure it out. And then on January 4th, I woke up, I went to get out of bed, and I hit the floor. And I'll show you why I hit the floor. So this is a picture of what my legs looked like while I was in the hospital. So as you can see, my left leg is really swollen compared to my right. I've got it on the pillow there because of the fact that I couldn't fully extend my leg. If I tried, it felt like I was dying. It felt there was horrendously painful. And you can see the size difference. Like, look at the size of my knees. The knee is the really big thing here. That's the big factor. I'll show you a couple more pictures here. This is, with the different IVs put into me and everything. I had drugs being pumped into me constantly. Here's a picture of me in R&R. You probably can't tell. In fact, I'm having a hard time seeing it myself. But let me just look here quick. The on the meter there for my heart rate, I'm 181 over 167. Yeah, right there. 181 over 167. Terrible, right? So you guys know I'm generally a pretty healthy guy. I've talked about that many times. I supplement, I exercise, I try to eat as healthy as I can. I try to stay up with the science of aging and health. I really do make every effort to feel as good as I can, to take care of my body. I never get sick, like a cold or a flu. I can't tell you the last time I had a cold or a flu, but I can tell you that every year I did get tired and exhausted to the point of like my body broke down and I couldn't really function. And I figured that was just a response to working so hard, because it's, you guys have listened to 20 episodes now. You know that I was a bit of a workaholic prior to all this happening. So I can't get up off the floor. Now it's knee, neck, back, shoulder. I'm getting headaches, really bad migraines, can barely breathe. So my dad takes me to the emergency room, or takes me to the urgent care, because they've got all these weird classifications for hospitals now in Manitoba. You've got your walk-ins, you got your urgent cares, you got your ERs. There's just And the way that they classify them is not the way that they run them. So I looked at the classification, like, I'm supposed to go here. But then when I went there, they're like, well, no, we can't really help you. I'm not going to talk about that much about my experience in the hospital, because my experience in the hospital at HSC was horrendous. And if you want to tap into that, if you want to know what it was like, I wrote basically a thesis on my Facebook and on my blog where I detailed what it was like to be in the hospital. And I that would take this episode into like 2-3 hour territory. And I don't want to do that. But so finally I get situated in the hospital. I'm declining quick. They don't know what's wrong with me, but there are neurologists, rheumatologists, all these different specialists. They're like, there's something going on here. We can't figure it out. It ends up being something that I never knew anything about, that you probably know nothing about, and that you need to know something about. And that's why I'm doing this episode. So this whole thing is about, this whole podcast, this whole mission of mine is to tap into a better energy, to become a better human being, to become a better man, a better boyfriend, a better son, a better just better across the board. But it's also so that you guys can learn something, so that you can become better as well. Whether that be something through just my experiences or my guest experiences, or through expertise or knowledge that my guests bring, or whether, things that I've gone through in life that maybe you can relate to, because I've lived a pretty nuts life. This one is something that I really want you guys, like, I know a lot of people listen to podcasts or watch podcasts, just kind of have it on the background. Don't have this one on the background, okay? Because this one could save your life. I mean it. Here's what happened. So there are two kinds of stress. I mean, there's smaller, there's kind of like sub branches of these two kinds of stress, but there are basically two kinds of stress, okay? So the first kind of stress is it's acute stress. It's like situational. It's your daily stress. It's the stuff I do really well with, right? So a problem comes up in the company, I have to problem solve it. I have to move on it quickly. I got to put all the pieces together, make sure the right people are working on things, and go. Right? Really, really great at acute stress. But chronic stress is something that I thought didn't really affect me, but turns out it was just it was in the back of my head. And I'm going to sound super hippie here, and I don't mean to, but this is the only way I know how to describe this. The chronic stress that I had was as a result of me being out of balance with my environment. So the way the doctor explained to me at first, when he's starting to break this all down for me, is he said, chronic stress for many, a great example would be, your partner is cheating on you, but you don't want to confront it. However, every single day, no matter whether you're conscious about it or not, it's going to be eating away at the back of your mind. It's constantly stressing you out, okay? But it's not like at the surface, so you don't deal with it. You think you've got it under control because you can go about your day, and it's not a huge problem for you. That was my problem, was chronic stress. So a large part of it was being out of balance with my environment. I could get into a million reasons why, being a workaholic since I was like really young, thinking I'm fucking Superman and I could just work 24 hours a day, 3-4 days in a row, take a quick, small break, and then come right back to it. I had a lot of staff that we weren't really, as a small business, some of us didn't jive really well. There was I was in a very high stakes business. You'll notice I'm using past tense, and I'll get to that in a second. A very high stakes business, meaning 500,000 people would depend on us. And it wouldn't even have to be us that has a problem. It could be a service that we use around us would go down, or something would happen, and the whole world would fall apart. And it meant millions of dollars going in and out all over the place. It was just as high stakes a business as you can get, because live in the moment, dependencies on various different media. It was very, very stressful. But again, because that situational stress, that acute stress, very, very well, I dealt with it very well. So it wasn't that big of a concern for me. Now, here's where it all kind of comes into play, and why I ended up going down in January, and why I'm just now It is May 25th when I'm recording this episode, the first episode I'm recording for Better Back. This is why I went down. So we have these proteins in our body that are made by our liver called C-reactive proteins. Okay, they basically they're made in the liver, and it increases our CRP levels. So C-reactive protein, CRP, I'll call it that from now on. Our CRP levels go up when we have more inflammation in our blood. Okay, inflammation can be caused by all sorts of things, but one of the number one causes of inflammation is stress, chronic stress. Okay, so my CRP levels go through the roof. Never even heard of CRP levels prior to this all happening. There's a bunch of different rating scales. You know, if you're in the US, in different states, you'll have different rating scales for CRP. I noticed from different provinces, even different hospitals have different CRP level ratings. So I'm not going to try to not going to try to adapt to all the systems. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say a normal person, let's say a normal person is a 1. Okay. A person that has stress in their life, which is pretty much everybody, is a 2. Somebody that has elevated CRP levels that's at risk for heart attack, aneurysm, or stroke is a 3. Somebody who's dead is a 4. I went into hospital at a 5. And I was declining quickly. Now, because I had such elevated CRP levels to the point where I should have been dead, my immune system went haywire. It allowed an infection in. And I was declining too quickly. So they really didn't have time to figure out exactly what was going on with me. So they started blasting me with different drugs to try to clear the infection, because they knew if they cleared the infection, then the CRP levels, we could work on bringing the CRP levels down and everything would be hunky-dory. Unfortunately, treating the infection broadly, it has its downsides. And I knew that. They explained that to me. It was worth the risk because I was dying. Okay. So it was either death or take this risk. So I took the risk. Eventually everything was figured out. But what ended up happening was, because of the infection and the elevated CRP levels, I got something called reactive arthritis. Okay. You look at me. Do I look like a guy that has arthritis? No. I remember my grandparents having arthritis and not really understanding as a kid, being like, what's wrong with them? Why can't they get up? Why do they got to shuffle up to get off the couch? Why does everything look sore? Why are they walking so slow? Why are their legs moving like that? I will never discount arthritis again. And as younger people, we have to really stop, because I know a lot of young people that did that. I was guilty of it until this year. We need to stop pretending like we know everything, because we don't. And anybody has arthritis out there, I now 100% feel your pain. And I understand that you need a lot more patience and a lot more understanding from all of us. So I have reactive arthritis, and reactive arthritis is considered to be one of the more painful arthriti? I'm not too sure. It's a painful arthritis. I have it head to toe. It is predominantly in my leg, my hips, my shoulder, which has been a fairly new development where it's come back again, my neck, and kind of going up into the back of my spine. I'm in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have been since it started. Some days it's manageable. Some days it's not. Some days I can get up at 8 a.m. Some days I can't get up at all. And it is going to go away. So that's the good news. I won't be like this forever. But it is a serious disruptor in my life. I've had to take so many steps to deal with this, and I'll tell you why exactly. So basically, now that the infection is cleared, okay, the medication worked, the doctors did their job, the doctors were great with me, they took care of me, they got the infection's gone. But I've got this reactive arthritis, I've got these elevated CRP levels, and unfortunately for me, each of them flaring up causes the other to flare up. So I'm in a constant cycle of arthritic pain and CRP levels going up and inflammation in my body increasing. So there's lots of things I'm going to be doing over the next 6 months or so. I've already gone for stem cell treatments to try to ease up the pain as much as I can, and 100% I have already seen how much the stem cells have helped me. I have been on hydromorphone. I've been on all kinds of medication. I got off the hydro because Shauna was telling me that she did not like my personality on hydro. I'm unfortunately back on the hydro right now because my shoulder is so bad. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, I know it might seem like everything's kind of okay, but you can probably hear a little cracking in my voice, and that's because I'm constantly up this arm, just shooting pain. Shoulder, right here, and neck right here. And then sometimes in between the shoulder blades. Constant throbbing pain. So I have to be on the hydromorph right now to try to bring this down again, the shoulder, and just to try to get everything regulated. Now, the good news is I'm no longer a 5. I am now a 3, which means I'm still at risk of heart attack, aneurysm, and stroke, which is insane for me to say, considering the fact that prior to this, I was doing parkour, I was doing boxing, I was working out every day. I was in the best shape of my life. You might notice I'm smaller now. My arms are much smaller. My biceps are smaller. My chest is smaller. My legs, I got chicken legs now, guys, like total chicken legs. It is embarrassing. So, and I don't mean it's embarrassing as in like, if you have chicken legs, you should be embarrassed. I mean, in comparison to what I had, it's embarrassing. I spent so long getting meat on my bones because I was a naturally skinny person that it's kind of frustrating that I lost it all. I lost like 30 to 50 pounds in 3 weeks. And it's really hard to get it back, especially since I have this irregular schedule now where I start exercising. I'm in physio. I'm doing all these things. And I cannot do it religiously because the pain comes in and then there's nothing I can do. And for someone that really I have a very high tolerance for pain. What the doctor told me in the hospital was, I did this appointment. I was actually in my outpatient stage of the therapy. So they told me, they said, you have experienced the maximum amount of pain that a human being will ever experience in your life. You basically had your entire body. I basically had my entire body on fire all the time while knives were being stabbed in me. All my nerve endings were firing. Everything was just a total disaster. My blood, which, head to toe, blood's flowing through it, all of you. My blood was essentially on fire. Is the best way to put it in terms of pain. So the good news is that's behind me. I'm no longer having the worst pain of my life. There was one day while I was in the hospital where I honestly had a thought in my head, please kill me. The chronic pain, the pain I went through that day, okay, I've been through a lot of pain in my life. I've broken bones. I've broken my skull. I've smashed my neck. I've broken my back. I've been stabbed in the foot. All kinds of injuries. I could sit here all day and list to you injuries that I've had. Nothing. All of that together doesn't come close to comparing to this. That's all a 1. All that together, a 1, and this is a 10. So. I sat back and I said, how do I get better? Because if the CRP levels and the arthritis are constantly going to be reacting to each other, how do I ever get better? Right? Because I'm just a cycle of pain and problematic inflammation and all this. So how do I get better? I'll show you this video here. I couldn't get out of bed for a few weeks. Finally got on a walker. They said to me, this is a video of me on the walker. I don't know why it's not playing. Why are you not playing? Hang on one sec. I know why it's not playing. You can see I'm very impressed right now with myself on my old man walker. Yeah. So that was me back up and running. I had been spending a lot of days trying to get on my walker. They suspect I'd be on the walker for about 2 months. I was on it for about half a week, and then I went to a cane and I got off it in a week. And then it was kind of like everything is kind of up in the air. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. Inflammation could kick in a severe way at any time. All these things could come up that could basically cause me unmitigated pain, just absolute endless pain. One thing the doctor basically said to me was, we know where my stress is coming from. My stress is coming from my business. So unfortunately, I had to shut down my business. I had to exit my business. And that was hard to do. I found a place, a home for my staff, with different people that I know in the business community. I didn't want to leave anybody out in the cold. I took care of everything that I could. And I've made a lot of sacrifices because the doctor said, get rid of your business or die. Pick one, go for it. Whatever you choose, make your choice now because you don't really have a lot of time. So I did make the choice, and I no longer have a company. I'm no longer an entrepreneur. I have been writing. I've been acting in movies. I have been, I'm going to be podcasting again. And you know what? Right now, in this moment, even with this pain running through my body, this is the happiest I've ever been. And it seems insane to say it, but that is my indicator. And I've been like this for a bit. I've realized this is the happiest I've been. And I am this way because I'm at one with my environment again. I realized, hindsight is a crazy thing, right? You're going along, running a business, money in, money out, staff coming, tons of clients, flying all over the world, dealing with everything. You're growing. But what I did was I was stupid. And this is going to be something for you entrepreneurs out there. I hired people to do all the things I love, which left me with all the things I didn't like about being an entrepreneur. What? Right? You're probably sitting there going, why would you even do that? It wasn't a conscious decision. I just looked at what took me the most amount of time, and I got rid of those things. But when you do that, you get rid of what you actually enjoy about what you do, right? And that's exactly what I did. I got rid of everything that I like doing. I like writing. I love writing, in fact. And in the month of April, I wrote the first draft of my next book in 21 days. It's called The Last First Date. That's the working title. It's based on around the 3 weeks between when I met Shauna and our first date. It's a romantic, cheesy, funny book. I really enjoy writing it. I find that after a writing session, I can sit there and write for 6, 8, 10 hours, and I got to sit and stand desk. I have a really great family that came together to help me out. I got all these things that help me medically, like the sit stand desk, this crazy massage chair, all these things, family helping out with things. Shauna obviously has been a huge help, being a nurse and being my amazing girlfriend. And so I've got all these things going, and I've realized now I'm one of those people that needs to do what they love or they're never going to be happy. So what makes me happy? I enjoy coding and making apps. So I'm gonna develop a small app for entrepreneurs. Something that I would have loved to have had when I was an entrepreneur. I don't want to grow it to the point of being a massive business. I have no interest in that anymore. I've seen the error of my ways for me, not necessarily for you, but for me. I'm going to write. I'm going to write a lot because I love writing. I'm going to podcast because I love podcasting. I love doing this. And some of the interviews I'm going to be doing soon, guys, are going to be unbelievable. I'm talking to a guy that was wrongfully convicted of rape and murder at the age of 16, 17, and he spent 16 years in jail. He comes out of jail to become a lawyer to help people that were wrongfully convicted. You don't get much better than that. Dealing with male anger, dealing with child protective agencies, dealing with all these really great interviews, people in their careers and how they got there, on a slow climb, how they did better in their careers. Got some great guests like Kurt Angle. There's all these different guests that are going to be, and in fact, I'm going to break to Kurt Angle in a second. But yeah, we've got all this really great stuff happening in my life. I've got Shauna, who has been my rock through this whole thing. I mean, guys, I don't know if I could have done it without her. She was incredible. My dad bringing me non-hospital food, which was critical to my success of surviving in the hospital. My mom checking on me every day. Unfortunately, she couldn't be at the hospital while I was there. She couldn't be around me because she has CLL, which is a form of cancer, which her immune system was compromised. She obviously couldn't be in the hospital. She couldn't be around me because my immune system was compromised, which was a total bummer. But I got out in time to be able to be there for her first chemo. So that was really important to me and to her. So that was great. But ultimately, I had to make all these adjustments, right? So last time I spoke to you guys, one of the last interviews I did, in fact, it might have been, hang on, what was the last one we posted? So the last one we posted was supplements. So a few episodes back, so the episode we posted on February 16th was with Josh Giesbrecht, and that was him and I speaking about entrepreneurship. And I was talking about the staff and, government administration and high stakes business and all these sorts of things. And now none of that exists in my life. And I'm happier for it. And so if you're going to take anything away from this podcast today, two things I want you to take away. If you have stress in your life, I've already told you guys, I think all of us should be quarterly getting blood tests and getting, urine tests and everything, getting our levels checked, making sure our body is at one with our immune system and making sure that we are optimized on our nutrients and our vitamin levels, making sure that we're exercising and all that. With those blood and those urine tests and everything that you get done, get your CRP levels checked, because this is something that could have been caught earlier if we'd been looking for it, but nobody's looking for it. Nobody's testing for it. Nobody pays attention to CRP levels. And especially when you're young and healthy and, you're nobody's paying attention to it. And so make it a part of your quarterly plan to get your CRP levels checked. And if your CRP levels are high, you need to deal with your stress. You need to, your chronic stress, whatever it is. If you think your partner's cheating on you, you need to deal with that. If your business is killing you, you need to deal with that. If you're in a job you hate, you need to deal with that. If you have coworkers that are driving you insane, you need to deal with that. You need to deal with all this stuff. Stress can kill. It almost killed me. Days away from death due to stress. I would have been pissed looking down, if that's where I'm going, if that's such a place, looking down at my funeral and going, I died from stress. What a dumb way to go. But I didn't. And I didn't because it got caught. So get your CRP levels checked. Men, women, it doesn't matter. Get them checked. And the second thing is really, really take a look at your life. Take a look at everything you got going on in your life. What doesn't belong? I have become now a masterful gauge of happiness from activity. Because when everything came to an end, I was sitting at Shauna's place going, what am I going to do next? Writing has always been nagging at me. Come back to it. Now, my first two books I wrote aren't good. Don't read them. They're not good. They're written by a very immature, very unlearned author. But over the years, I've spent a lot of time researching what it takes to be a good author. Spent a lot of time writing short stories and haikus and spoken word and papers and blogs and articles and all these sorts of things. I'm a much better writer today than I was back when I wrote those books. And this third book that I'm coming out with, this is what I'm going to consider to be my debut, because this is where I'm coming out as an actual author, where I'm intending to do something with it. Writing has always been something that has been going, it's been trying to pull me, right? It's like, come hang out with me, write, and I don't ever get sick of it. I don't ever get sick of world building, character building, writing dialogue, trying to come up with masterful characters, trying to make it so that you guys feel something when you read my words. All that stuff excites me. As long as I can deliver a message with it. I'm not a person that wants to release fluff, okay? So this podcast, I don't think you see it as fluffy. If you do, I don't know how to help you. But I do this podcast because I'm genuinely trying to point out stories and instances where we together can either do better, be better, or make the world a better place. With my writing, yes, it's a rom-com. 100% it's a rom-com. but there are a lot of lessons in this book. And the next one I write is going to have a lot of lessons. And the one after that, and the one after that. There is no guidebook for life, but hopefully all of us that seem to want to do life the hard way, we can pass on our lessons so that other people don't have to, right? So podcasting, 100% going to be part of my life again. Writing, I'm full in. Developing an app for entrepreneurs. That's I don't want to get too much into because I don't want to give the idea away, but I'm going to be working on that in the background as I heal. I've got a lot of healing to do. I'm going to try to release religiously every week. If I miss a week, I am sorry. I'm trying to get ahead, but some weeks I just won't be able to do it. So ultimately, those are the two takeaways. Get in harmony with your life. If something's nagging at you that you should be doing it, start doing it. Even if you just do it part-time because you need to be able, it's something you can figure out how to make money off of right away. And get your CRP levels checked quarterly. Okay, guys? Those are two things you can do to be better. Immediately, it will improve your life. So this is longer than the usual one that I do, the usual podcast I do by myself. But I really thought it was important. I thought it was important because I don't want, a lot of you that watch or listen to this, I know quite a few of you. I can't wait to break out into a bigger audience where I don't know as many of my audience. But I know a lot of my audience, and a lot of my audience are really great people, just trying to be better every single day. And this is one of those things that if you don't listen to the previous 20 podcasts, listen to this one. This one is key. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this. I kind of went on a roll. I usually throw them in the middle, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw to Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, the WWE superstar, in my opinion, the greatest all-around wrestler in the history of wrestling. He got a gold medal in the Olympics with a broken freaking neck. That was his thing he used to say in wrestling. And he's just, the guy has been to hell and back for his career, for his life. Check out Kurt Angle's Better Moment. And after that, the episode will be over, and you can come back next week and check out a guest interview. We're going to be now doing them in two-parters so that they're a little bit shorter, more digestible for you guys, around half an hour each episode. And that's that. So now you know why I haven't been around. Now you know why the podcast hasn't been happening. And I really hope that you guys take this advice to heart, because I'm offering it to you as a chance for you to be better physically, mentally, and for you to lead a better life. All right? Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Later.
Hey, Jay, how are you? It's your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle. And I know you have a podcast called Better. And you want to know how I deal with extreme stress. Well, one is prayer. I give it all to God. I hand it over to Him, and it really helps to relieve my stress. Meditation was really good for me as well. I really love doing meditation. Breathing in, thinking good thoughts, breathing out, letting go of the bad thoughts. Also working out. Working out is such a great stress reliever. And massaging. Body massages are awesome. You're going to absolutely love them, and they're going to work really well for you to make you stress-free. Now, if you can't afford massages, then have somebody just give you a shoulder massage. It'll help no matter what. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, my friend. I hope your podcast is doing great. Take care, and God bless.
Thanks for checking out Better. If you got to the end, it must mean you liked the episode, right? So how about 5 stars, maybe a sub, maybe a share? Great universal common points. And good luck on your better journey.